Hi, welcome to another episode. So today I would like to go into planning before you buy your first property. Okay, so apologize on the slides because I just finished a very late meeting. It's actually close to 11 o'clock at night, and I just reached home. And I've done this over dinner just now. I managed to write out all this rather than do it in the slide format. Okay, so yeah, I'd like to bring you to these 5 points when you're planning to buy your first property. So first of all, we need to understand the horizon. Okay, um, of course, we have to work out your finances as well. And then number three, you need to work out the short, mid, and long-term logistics. Okay, logistics would be logistics of your family and your work. Okay, and then go down to select the asset type. And finally, of course, is selecting an agent to work with. Okay, now let me jump into the first one, which is the horizon. Now, every type of asset, there is different types of horizons. So I've put down three types of very common type of asset that you should be looking at. Number one is a 99 leasehold condo. Then there's the subclasses of course, a resale or a new development. And then you have a resale HDB, okay, and freehold property. All right. So for typically for a 99 leasehold property, okay, after about 12 to 15 years, you would see that the property will start to hit a decline in prices. All right. If you remember my previous episodes, of course, we need to understand the life cycle of a property. And not all 99 leasehold property is about 12 to 15 years before it hits a depreciative curve. Of course, there are some very good condos out there, or there are some very good private properties out there that actually hold their value for a longer period, like about 20 to even 25 years, and they are 99 leasehold. All right. For a resale HDB, you must understand that you have to see through the MOP, which is the minimum occupation period of 5 years. Okay. Before you have plans to sell or even buy another private property, before the 5 years is up, you will not be able to. And for freehold, the horizon you're looking at about 12 to 15 years, the property will start to hit a stagnation phase. Okay, the prices will start to stagnate, and even up to 20 years, the prices may be in a stagnation phase. All right, so you while you work on your own horizon of how long you want to keep the property, we also need to understand the different types of properties out there and the life cycle of a property before we hone in on what we want, okay? And whether or not it suits our horizon, all right? Now, number two, of course, is to calculate your finances and to check your affordability. So, two types of mortgage, okay, to look at when you're looking at taking a mortgage or taking a loan from the bank, okay. Number one is the MSR, which means mortgage servicing ratio. It actually refers to the portion of a borrower's gross monthly income that goes towards repaying a property loan. All right. And MSR is actually capped at 30% of a borrower's gross monthly income. And do take note that MSR only applies to housing loan for the purchase of a HDB flat or an executive condo. It does not apply to private property. Okay, private property, we look at TDSR in short. It means total debt servicing ratio. So same thing, it refers to the portion of a buyer's gross monthly income that goes towards paying for the mortgage every month. Okay, borrower's TDSR should be less than or equal to 55%. All right. So take note of that. I will also drop a link in my description for this video that links to a very good calculator that you can use and play around with later. I will drop it in the description. Okay, next, family logistics. Okay, this is one of the most important elements in my consultation with my clients. In fact, I rank this as one of the most important elements in the whole consultative process, is to understand your family logistics. In fact, we should actually look at short term, which is about 2 to 3 years, mid term, 5 to 10 years, and even long term, more than 10 years. Okay, let me give some small examples. If you're a couple, just you and your spouse today looking into buying your first property, of course, for a short term, you may look into where is your work location? How do you travel to work? Maybe one of you drives, the other doesn't, and the other takes public transport. How do you go to work? And the hours of your work and returning back to your home is important. Okay, this is one of the examples. Of course, another one for a short-term period is living near your parents. That makes gatherings much more easier. Okay, and even in the short or mid-term, if you plan to have kids, okay, then of course things like planning for the kids' school, planning on how to the care for the kids, whether you are going to put them at your parents' place or you're going to put them in a childcare and then subsequently primary school and so on and so forth. Okay, this is very important, and it takes some work to sit down to actually plan. Okay, so for example, for me, I'm alumni of a certain school, and I have to consider the location of where my son in the future will be going to that particular school. And yeah, these are all in my consideration. In fact, we even considered this before my son actually was in preschool. We already started to plan certain of the future logistics as well. Okay, now one very important point that I would like to point out is to focus on the location that suits the logistics best, not the other way around. Does that make sense? That means concentrate on the location that suits what you are going to do. Okay, not the other way around, meaning that, oh, you are buying a particular property because it's just the location is so good, it's right next to an MRT, maybe that particular location does not have that many supply of private property or that many supply of HDB, and the price of that particular property you think will appreciate. I think we should concentrate more on the family logistics, because in the long term, you're going to be the one living there, and everything that revolves around you and your new home must make sense that way. Okay, so yeah, focus on the location that suits your logistics the best. Okay, and number 4 is to select the asset type. Okay, okay, so this is quite straightforward. What type of asset class you are looking at, whether it's a HDB, whether it's BTO, whether it's EC, resale property, private property, or new private property. Okay, every single asset class has a different behavior, different trends, and different regulations as well. Okay, a BTO, for example, actually works very similarly to an EC. Okay, both have an MOP of 5 years. And actually, also a resale HDB has an MOP of 5 years. So within 5 year time frame, you have to um, stay at the HDB. You cannot rent it out, nor can you sell it. All right. Same goes for BTO and same goes for EC as well. And then um, there are also the different eligibilities for BTO and different eligibilities for EC. Okay, we will not go into that today, but I think the main thing that I want to stress on is something which I say quite often, and but it's often forgotten in the sense that every time you look at a property, first of all, we always go in very emotionally. I think we have to take note that this is not going to be the first property that we are going to buy. In the future, there will always be more opportunity. Okay, so look for something that is suitable and affordable first, being your first property. That would be something I really advocate to all first-time property buyers. All right. Okay. Okay. Next one is very interesting. Who do you want to work with? Choosing your agent. Wow, this actually can be a very, very broad topic. And in fact, it also is there are a lot of schools of thought when it comes to choosing an agent. Some people's they like an agent that is, because an agent is a person. So how that person comes off to different and reacts and um how should I say forms a relationship with you as a buyer or seller or client, it is very different in in every for every I would say situation. All right. So I think to keep it simple, I would like somebody who gets the job done professionally and effectively. I think this is the topmost priority for me. Okay, I put myself, okay, of course, although I am an agent, but I put myself as a consumer first. And this is what I really want. Okay, I do not need somebody who is just very friendly all the time and come down and have coffee with me or whatsoever. I think that's okay, but I think the main basic function should be professionalism and effectiveness. Okay, and I've listed on the right hand side one, two, three, four very important character traits that an agent should have. And at the top of that, I think integrity is one of the most important things. Um, in fact, it's actually, so don't be afraid to speak to the agents. Don't be afraid to talk and to learn more about them. And these four traits should come up in your conversations with them, and you should be able to see quite clearly whether they have integrity or not. Okay, so that should come up in your conversations with them. And number two is responsiveness. I think responsiveness is very important for me. Um, Somebody who can able to answer and attend to you fast. Okay, it's very, very important. Okay, if you send a message, for example, asking a certain question, I think of course there are times where the agent is very, very busy and they might be engaged for a long period of time. But the moment that we are able to, we should be able to respond quickly back to those questions. Okay. The other thing is knowledgeable. Now, this is very subjective trait because it really depends on the years of experience that the agent has. I have no qualms, of course, working with somebody who's new. So somebody who's new may not be that experienced or knowledgeable, but that person should have the basic resourcefulness to pick up the question and to get an answer that is very effective. So usually what I do when I was a new agent, to improve on my resourcefulness, is that if I'm asked a question that I do not know the answer to, I will definitely check it out first, and I will double check the source that I got that answer from. I think just doing a double check like that is very important, just to make sure that the information that you're giving off to your client is correct and accurate. Okay, and the last character trait is something a lot of agents I feel need to improve on, even for myself. Okay, and that is to be a good listener. Um, it is one thing to know and to want to share your knowledge. Like me, right? I do all my videos. Of course, I'm the only one speaking. But when it comes down to a consultation, I think listening is very, very important, and to be very effective in the listening. So you need to sometimes, because not everybody speaks the same way. Some people speak, and you have to kind of understand where they're coming from. Some people are not very direct in what they're trying to put across, and it just comes with experience. I think being a good listener really comes with experience. And then, yeah, you should be able to listen effectively as well to what you want. And I think one of the most important aspects of a consultation for any agent is back to number three, which is to really understand the logistics. Not really family, but just how your day works, how your weekend works even. I think it's very important. Yeah. Okay. And yeah, like I said, talk to a few agents, um, interview them basically, because you are really going to work with them uh, for quite a long time. So typically, if you're selling a property, um, take at least about 3 months from start to finish. In fact, from the time that you issue the option to purchase till the completion of the transaction takes about 2 to 3 months. And prior to that, you have the marketing stage where the agent actually markets the property for you. And a lot of communication has to be done during that time. And yeah, so it's a long-term relationship. And I think that talking to a few agents is a definite must. Try to understand which agent works better for you. But like I said, all these traits on the right should really be one of the most important ones that you should pick up on. Yeah. And okay, the next point that I'd like to touch on is referred agents. Okay, so we have a lot of friends and maybe even relatives who are agents, or relatives who know of uh, agents, and they start referring these agents to you. Number one, uh, I will be take note on who is the one who made the referral. For example, um, a family member may uh, refer another family member uh, as an agent. And first of all, I would like to every referred agents, I think the best is to still speak with them. Don't just take it for granted that, okay, they are being referred means they are definitely good. There are some that just refer because they are helping out another relative who's starting off in this industry, and there's nothing bad towards that. Okay, in fact, I think starting off, uh, as long as if all the four of those character traits are in the agent, I am very much willing to consider working with him or her. So it doesn't mean a new agent you can't work with that person, because that person has no experience in any real estate transactions. Okay, that's simply not true. All right. And why I'm concerned with it's referred to by who uh, is because sometimes I would like to know the person's experience with that agent in the first place. I think that's very important. Usually, referrals made are very meaningful because it must be that that agent has performed very well for that particular person. But even then, that is just between him, the person who referred you, and that agent. Okay, you may not be working on the same level as their working relationship. So it is still best to speak with them and understand, and not just take it for granted and engage that person immediately just because it's a referral. Okay. And of course, it's very important to be objective and have mutual respect. So agents are humans also, right? We are also working to earn a living for our family and for ourselves. So I think it's important to be objective. Sometimes do not expect if the agent really is very engaged during that period of time, um, do not expect them to answer to you in 24 hours, stand by to pick up your call. Um, yeah, so that's something that I think we should take note of. The last point is I think both must actually value a long-term relationship. It's not just the agent that wants to do business on a long term with the client, but the client must also, the consumer or the client must also want to work with the agent on a long term basis. Because by now we should know property has a very long term horizon, and you may not just be buying a first property, you may be selling and then buying another property, or you may even be buying one more property. Um, yeah, so this is something which is important as well. Okay, but I think we should come down to take note of these character traits. I think it's very important. That should be the basis of, or I should say, the very prerequisite of the agent first before anything else. Okay, so yeah, I hope you gain a little bit more understanding into planning for your first property, and I wish you all the very best. If you have any questions or if you want to consult with me, please do drop me a call or do drop me a private message, and I'll be very glad to have a chat with you. All right, till the next episode, I'll see you again.